Polakaitis with our night. I'm here with a very special guest, Will Holly of Holly Nance Property Solutions. HNPS is an investment company who's also a licensed bridge specializing in short sale rehabs, turnkey investments, and rebuilding communities. Thanks for being on the show.
Wow, thanks for having me, brother.
It's always a good time. So Will, before we jump in, why don't we talk a little bit about how you got started in real estate investing?
Sure. I started out in banking, and shortly after that had a banking client who was doing really well with her properties and brought me over to the investment side. So I bought my first four-family house for $100,000. I got an FHA 203K loan. My credit was horrible, so I wound up bringing my mother in as a credit partner, and I also didn't have any money, so she helped me out with the down payment. So long story short, I bought the first 4-unit building, which was a shoe repair factory that I converted into apartments. And I lived in one of the units, and I rented the other 3 units out along with the garage. So at 24 years old, that kind of helped me out with cash flow, and I didn't have to pay to live. Once I got done with the building, I was all in it for around 140, and it appraised at 300,000. So I just went and got a line of credit against that building, and because I was already in banking, and I kind of understood the loss mitigation systems from small banks to regional banks to large banks, I just started getting properties and flipping them with that line of credit. And, now it's led to HMPS, which is a full-fledged real estate investment company that could basically allow you to utilize all those tools that I came up with, which was how to find properties, how to renovate them, and how to manage them effectively. And other investors can now utilize that system that we have in place.
Excellent. That's very interesting. I mean, you hear a lot about people starting off, some people or gurus will say recommend starting off with those multifamilies, the duplex, the triplex, the quadplex. So exactly like you said, is that you're living there basically for free. And if anyone has listened to Robert Kiyosaki, he always mentions how your primary residence is not an investment. It's actually a liability because it takes money out of your pocket. So by utilizing a triplex or a duplex, whatever it may be, to have your renters pay the mortgage helps offset that. Because whether you're in your own house by yourself, even if it's paid off, you have property taxes, etc., and you also have, whether you're renting, I mean, it's still taking money out of your pocket each month. So by leveraging, what you did, if you don't mind having other tenants close by, in essence, upstairs, that's alongside you, whatever it may be. That's one way to go ahead and capitalize on that. And also, you taking out the line of credit to leverage to buy more properties is very impressive, and that's important. I have some rental properties myself, and we're kind of along those lines of, do I pull out some money so that I can go ahead and buy some more properties? One thing we're seeing in our rentals, our rehab business, is that you can never have access to too much money. $1 million could be used up in 3 rehabs very easily.
Yeah.
So,
and money's cheap now, so it's a good strategy.
Right. All right, well, so we're, as you know or may not know, previously I had Mario Camino on, and we were talking about rebuilding the communities, and his area was Plainfield, and along the lines of the commercial aspect. Today we're dealing with slightly different with the residential part of things, and how you've basically partnered, I guess you could say, with towns, Willingboro and Burlington City, to where you're coming in as the rehabber, and you're going to rebuild these towns, these vacant houses, and these other houses that are in need of repairs. And you actually had some nice gatherings with, I believe, Willingboro and Burlington City, where they brought you in and basically said, that you're going to come in. Like, I use the word partner, but your go-to people, I guess, to work with the town and to, again, rebuild these communities. So generally speaking, how does a real estate investor create a relationship with a town, and improving the neighborhood?
Yeah, I know Mario. Mario's a good guy. The strategy that we used was we went in and we did about 6 houses in Willingboro specifically. After we did those 6 houses, we did an open house. Now, Willingboro, I don't know if you know too much about the history, but around in the 1950s, African Americans couldn't live in Willingboro, and it was built by William Levitt, who was one of our country's top builders. So what made this so spectacular was that his build that he did in 1950 and I kind of modernized it. So if like yourself, these houses that were built pre 1950, they're all chopped up, the ceilings are low, and you got to go in there and kind of do like a California style layout. So that was what I did, which was what made that so spectacular, because in Willingboro they were having a hard time moving their houses just because of the layout. So what I did was I did a debut to that layout, and all of their government came. It was the mayor, it was all the council people and everything, and we also involved the community. So they really hadn't taught the government and so much of the community since this foreclosure crisis happened. So they were just maintaining. They were mowing the lawns. They were maintaining these bank-owned properties, and nobody knew like a strategy on what to do. So I kind of brought all of them together, and I told them the reality of what's going on with their town, which is what's going on in a lot of towns, is they have properties that aren't worth anything. And if they keep letting these properties go into REO or post REO and get taken back from the town, they're not going to ever be able to fix these properties, because you can give them away for free. But if it's 150 to fix the house up and it's not worth 150, then you're left with a dead property. So long story short, normally what we go and do is we go and organize whatever assets or abilities the town has and how the community can help. And we kind of put a plan in place. So now we're on about property 25, I think, in Willingboro, and we're projected to do 100 properties. So that was kind of my first town that I went to that embraced me and embraced the plan. And what I basically figured out is the town has assets that it can use, and also the community has an input. Now, what you can do as a rehabber, or listeners as a rehabber, if they want to work on this type of scale, is just go in and introduce themselves to the town and basically go in and tell them what you're going to do. Now, that what I figured out is most people that go into these towns and come up with a plan never execute. So my strategy was, okay, let me put $1 million up and renovate, a couple of these houses, and then bring them in. And that was successful with us with forming that relationship.
Right. I got you. So basically, instead of just approaching the town and saying, hey, I'm a rehabber, by the way, I've never done any rehabs in this town, but I think it'd be a great town that we can start fixing up. They may not take you serious, versus what you're saying, hey, we actually have the track record. Then you approach them and say, look, this is what I've done, and this is what I intend to do.
Yep. That's what gets you in the door.
Okay. So if you touched on it briefly, so why don't you just take us through the steps of, I guess you could use Willingboro, or you could use Burlington City of, you acquired, I guess you did $1 million worth of investing, and then take us through a little detail as far as the next steps, how they unfolded.
Well, first you got to start with doing the numbers and make sure there's inventory there that you can handle. So when we went into Willingboro, we looked at days on market and how big the town was, and we wanted to make sure if we were going to go in there and do one house, that it was feasible for us to go in there and do 100 houses. So that's where it started at. We just did a regular MLS search. We calculated days on market, how much inventory they have. I think Willingboro is a population of about 35,000, which makes it a nice small town that you can go in and make a big impact. Burlington City only has 10,000 people. So we're not looking to do 100 units there. We can do 20 units there, then that can drastically change their landscape over there. So first thing you want to do is start with the numbers, look at the demographics, and make sure that you can go in there and attack that town. Secondly, you want to go in there and make sure that you can get the inventory. So some of the inventory is going to come from the town. Some of the inventory is going to come from REOs. Some of it's going to come from short sale. We are so valuable to some of these towns is because they want to do development plans. However, they'll have 3 properties that they own on one end of the street, and in the middle of the street will be a bunch of REOs, and then a couple more abandoned houses will be owners who just abandoned their properties. Where our value, I'm speaking to myself and also your investors who are probably on the call, is that we can track down these houses that are clogging up their redevelopment plans. So what I did was I showed them that, look, I can get access to these properties that you've been trying to get for years. And, if you wanted to do a redevelopment plan and also give over some of the properties that you have, we can make that plan work.
Okay, so dive into a little bit of that. So you're saying that if the town had plans of developing a certain area, but surrounding, its neighbors are these abandoned properties, these short sales, these REOs, you're saying, hey, look, I'll go ahead and I'll purchase these, whether it's through short sale or REO, I'll fix them according to your plan so it fits within that, or to sell them to the town. I'm trying to find out what you mean by what your part is and what the town part is, because it sounds like the town owns some of the houses, some of the other houses are ones that you'd be targeting as investment, and then you're trying to synergize the plan.
Yeah, and that's basically it, just trying to synergize the plan. So if they have a redevelopment area and you know that they have properties in that area that aren't city owned and you can get access to those properties, it's advantageous for you to show them that you can get access to them and you can help out with their redevelopment plan,
I gotcha.
if that makes sense.
Right. So they're saying, okay, look, our plans are to go ahead and do this for this street, this neighborhood, etc. And you're coming in and saying, okay, I'll be able to purchase these properties and I'll be able to fix them up in accordance to what they're looking to do.
Right,
Okay.
right. Which is one way, but I'm saying another way is you can if you go in here and you're already doing houses and they don't have like this redevelopment plan already in place, you can just go in there and tell them what you're doing if you're trying to just gain a relationship with them. And even if it's not inside of their redevelopment plan, you can just tell them what you're doing, and that'll also build a relationship for you.
Right. Now, let me ask this. Why Boroughborough and Burlington City? Any particular reason for choosing these towns? You mentioned that, some of these towns have properties that are not worth the cost it would to put in the house to fix it up. And a prime example that I've seen is wholesaling in Camden. Some of these houses, literally, you can't give them away. They're completely worthless. If you put in 50 grand, the house isn't even going to sell for 20 grand. So obviously, some of these towns make sense for investment. Others may not. Any particular reason why you chose these two towns, or some, along the lines of what you researched to decide what town you're going to target?
Right. Well, that was one of the things. I couldn't go into like a Camden because, like you said, the numbers just don't make any sense. Like you can get a property for free in Camden, like you said, put 50 in it, and it's only worth 30,000. So there had to be some solvency left to the town. So like Willingboro, for an example, there are properties there that you can buy for $50,000. You can put 50 in them, and you can sell them for 150. So there's enough inventory there to do that. I couldn't do that in Camden. I didn't have, I don't have the ability to do that because the inventory is not there. Same thing with Burlington City. Burlington City, I can go and buy a property for 40 grand and go put 60 in it and sell it for 150. So that has a lot to do with what towns that we choose. Now Trenton, we do a lot of rentals in Trenton. There's not an end buyer market here that allow us to develop like a full-fledged retail plan. So our plan is more aimed at higher end rentals that we do here in Trenton.
Right. In which case is probably more aimed to your turnkey solutions that you provide for investors. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. So now you can come get a high end turnkey property for my investors that don't want to do the flipping and that they want to do the rentals. They can get it right here in Trenton.
Right. So let me ask
And
you
we're
this.
trying to do some home in Trenton.
I'm sorry, what was that?
We're doing some home ownership in Trenton where we can do
Okay.
that.
So when you say homeowners, for the end buyer, so that you're fixing, flipping,
Right.
and so do you have them already lined up where you're fixing the property to their liking, or perhaps maybe working with them so that they're eligible for a mortgage, so that once the rehab's done, you already have that buyer in place?
Right, right. So we kind of almost work like a new construction site where people are buying off spec. So what we do in these towns, because we do the same advertising, we'll get a database of people who are applying for houses, and we'll advertise a sweet deal like $3,000 down. We'll pay your closing costs, blah blah blah. So of course, when we put that out there, we have more buyers than we have properties. So what we do is we stack these buyers up into our pipeline, and as we're finished these houses, we're putting them into the houses. But because we're doing them with all the same finishes and things like that, they already know what they're going to get, and it's an easier sell.
Right. That's a good process to have set up. So let me ask this, Will. How does going back to the rehabs when you're working with the towns? How does the process differ from like a standard rehab? So like, or does it? So you're working with the town. You decide that okay, this block we're going to try to purchase these abandoned houses. Typically for our rehabs or our wholesale deals, we're contacting the homeowners direct. If it's a short sale scenario, we're working with them to get it approved. If it's a free and clear house and just vacant, we work on getting a price and we just proceed as such. Now, obviously, when you're working close with the town, how does that differ from your standard process of just a regular rehab?
Well, it helps out with inspections. So normally, if you have a presence within a town, the whole inspection office, they know what you're trying to do, and it's a motive beyond just trying to make money. So I mean, I can't say they come out the next day or something when you pull your permits, but they give you a better response when they know that you have a social initiative in flipping these properties. So the process is all still the same. It's just the inspectors don't, they're trying to help you, opposed to putting on the white gloves and giving it
Right,
to you.
right. Who's this out of town investor that's just looking to flip one prop and that kind of thing? It's actually the relationships built, in which case they're working with you. And I've dealt with some towns that are very difficult, and I've had them blatantly say, "Oh, what are you from Philly or where are you from?" And they want to make it difficult, especially if you take down in Jersey Shore where they had some of the houses that were damaged by Hurricane Sandy. If it
Yeah,
was damaged, I think like 50% or more, they want to make sure that you boost it or hold, whole bunch of things. And in some towns, we've experienced a lot of pushback
yeah,
and stuff along the lines of that nature, like, oh, you're not from around here, that kind of thing. And it's
right,
like, wow,
right.
you think that these towns would want you to come in and build, but it does have that tight knit kind of community, I guess, in some of them. So if you infiltrate, we'll say,
Right, right, right.
it could definitely change your outcome. Really, I mean, it can make a profitable deal versus a losing deal.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think with a lot of these inspectors, it becomes really personal.
right.
Like you're saying, it's their town, to them is their asset. So it's just advantageous for you to go in with a plan and just be a little smooth about it.
Right. Now, let me ask, any new challenges that you faced, having this type of relationship with the towns?
Um, I would say now, and a lot of people don't understand affordable housing building. Like what we do is typically market rate, but when we run into some of these urban towns, now I've opened up a new sector in my business for affordable housing. So now that's a whole different animal. It's free money, but it comes with a lot of regulations, and it also comes with and it was called like an exotic capital stack. So for one deal, we might be putting together tax credits, energy efficient grant money, block grant, some mezzanine debt, and like equity partners. So it could get as deep as a 4 or 5 layer capital stack to make these deals work, and that can get complicated. So that's one thing that we're building in that's a little different, and it takes some time to get used to. So that's one of the things that we're facing that's difficult getting used to.
Okay, could you tell us a little bit more about that program that you offer?
You said program?
Yeah, because it sounds like this is a program that's set up for the end retail buyer and work with them and getting them approved. Is
Yeah. Okay. So no. So what it is now for those Camden properties, for an example, that you were saying that you can't build because they don't make sense. Um, you can position yourself through subsidies to now buy those properties. However, the process works differently. Instead of you doing what's called market rate development, where you buy a piece of property, you renovate it, and you resell it to make a profit, you're kind of getting subsidized money from different areas, and you're getting a development fee out of it, and that's your profit, opposed to waiting on to the end to make your money. But it's just a totally different animal. It's two different developments. It's called market rate, which is what we're used to, opposed
right.
to affordable housing development. So that's one of the
So
things that we're biting off here in the office.
is that like actually government money or grants that are
Yeah,
being okay? So
yeah.
so in essence, you really are partnering with the towns. I was using that
Co-
as a general, but so they're coming in, they're fronting some of the money, and then you're collecting. You're saying your profit as the developer instead of on the back end on the resale.
Right. So we're not doing it in Willingboro or Burlington City yet. We are
Right.
doing it here in Trent.
Okay. Very interesting. That's a total different way of how you can profit from these deals. Um, especially if they're not. So let me ask you this. Um, well, now that the town's going to give you this grant money to go ahead and fix up the house, and so that money is not has to be repayable by you, right? I mean, it's just a grant just to get these towns rebuilt, if I understand that correctly.
Yeah. So the complicated portion of it is you got city, you got county, and you got state money, and you also have some foundational money out there. Um, so all of it has different terms. For an example, one of the things that we're doing with the city, we're going to do an 11 unit, and I raised 125,000 private money, and they're going to put up around $800,000 public money, but the terms of it states that I have to rent to low income housing people who make low income, and also I have to hold the property for 15 years as a silent second to make the loan or grant forgivable. So that $800,000 I do not have to pay back if I hold on to the property for 15 years.
Very interesting. And when you say foundation money, what is, elaborate on that a little. I've never heard that term. I'm sure some listeners are probably curious as well.
Well, there's nonprofit foundations out there who have, I guess, aims at funding certain kind of nonprofits or ventures or energy efficient or housing the homeless or housing veterans, things like that. That's money out there that foundations will give you if you're satisfying what their initiatives are.
Okay, gotcha. Now, this is obviously something that isn't typically available to the average investor. Like I said, if I came in a new town and said, hey, I want to go ahead and build this town up and I want to have access to the grant and foundation money, et cetera, it's more along the lines of you getting your track record. And if they don't have a plan in place, I'd imagine that you probably would submit your intentions, which in essence could be there's the start of a redevelopment plan.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That's
Okay.
absolutely correct. So what I'm finding now is some of the towns that I'm going in, they don't even know that they have money sitting on the books. So I asked them, have you went and you got that money from the federal government or that? And they said, well, we didn't know yet we could apply for it. I
Wow.
said, yeah, you got $1.5 million there, so just give me my fee on top. No,
Right.
I'm just playing, but that's typically how it is. You turn into an educator for these towns to show them where the money's at.
Absolutely. And the level of credibility that you must get, showing them that they have the ability to access this funds and where it's going to be used is really is something that's positive. And again, that's like almost instant credibility.
Yeah, yeah, yep. So if you position yourself in that fashion, and now you're there in a position to help the city, opposed to just trying to take stuff out of it. I mean, they'll give you the key to it, man.
Right. Let me ask you, I mean, any new challenges you've faced, with these new types of relationships?
No, I mean it kind of is taking me more towards the high end real estate, which I knew that I would ultimately end up not just flipping houses for the rest of my life, but what it is now is bringing on bigger developments and politics now in the real estate, and I'm basically becoming like a financier between these relationships of raising money and putting that capital to work. So I'm kind of going through. I did the buying and the selling. I, I established a turnkey company, which a lot of guys are getting into now. And now the next step is doing some bigger developments with these towns, which socially and personally really was my goal from the start, was to create housing for people in these in urban areas and add some value to the area. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, alongside of I was going to save it to the end of the program, but the coaching or consulting platform that I have online now that's doing pretty well.
You want to tell us a little bit about that coaching program?
Yeah, it's a 12-month course that goes over raising money, finding deals, marketing. I touch on this development piece a little bit for what I got. We touch on some social media, IRA, raising money through people with their IRAs, or how to utilize your IRA. So it's kind of everything I've learned up until this point, broken down into 12 months online for $99 a month. So people are having tremendous success with it. That are signing up. It's you can go to willholly.com if you wanted to actually see what that curriculum offered. That's WILLHOLLY.com, and that kind of gives all the details as to what's in that $99 per month.
Okay, so it's a monthly thing, and is that videos or is it recordings? What kind of curriculum could they expect?
Oh well, the curriculum I kind of went over, but the setup, they're gonna get a video at the top of the month. I think it comes out around the 15th, and then at the end of the month, we get on a brainstorming call to go over whatever their issues are. So I like it because it gives them the tools on what they need to do, and also at the end of the month, I'm like a 1,000 to 1 and coming up with these problems that they have and repairing them. So they actually get on a call, type in their questions or whatever issues that they're having at the end of the month, and we do an hour worth of back and forth answering all the calls that they have at the end of the month.
Interesting. So this is more for like those looking to get started in real estate investing.
Well, yeah. Well, what the way it's set up, and willholly.com is the website, my website that you can get to it. But the name of the program is Real Deal Wealth Builders. So the way I have it set up, if you're doing between 1 to 5 deals per month, typically you can get a lot from the program. If you're doing upwards of 5 deals per month, you probably need more of a one-on-one consulting, which I have a couple of those guys who I just visit individually. But if you're already doing upwards of 5 deals a month, you would get some stuff out of the program on raising money, but you probably need more of a one-on-one sit down that I have available for people that are in a tri-state. But it's more for guys that are entry level to middle level doing real estate.
Interesting. And how about if anyone, other investors want to contact you for turnkey investment solutions, Trenton or other areas that you cover, those that are looking for a good, return on investment on their money, how would they contact you or find more information?
Okay, good, because that's a different website. If you're looking just to buy properties or you want to invest, it's hnps.net. HNPS. We got to probably, if it's HNPS.net. All right. I'm a visual person, so I don't remember anything that anybody tell me. So if you can't see it, I remember it. So for all my visual people out there, there it is.
Right. Excellent. Actually, and you also offer property management. Is that correct?
We do. We have it slimmed down now. We only offer property management for people that buy properties through us. Because property management is a tough business, so we're being real slim about what we're taking on in that facet. But if you buy through us, we'll also manage the property for you as well.
Okay. And is that specific areas or just any area that you're selling them a property in?
Yeah, Central Jersey, Mercer County, and Burlington County.
Okay, great. Any other information that you want to share as far as people can contact you, email or anything, any promotions you got going on? Whether it's for beginning investors, experienced investors, whatever you have going on that you haven't mentioned already.
Yeah, reach out. You can go to either one of those websites, hit the info button, and reach out to me. I don't want to go through my long email address. Good luck. I'm trying to flip enough properties to get me a fish tank like you got back there, man.
You want yourself a full-time job. This is another one.
Touching on that. That is a cool fish tank. But nah, that's it, man. You can hit any one of those sites. Give me a buzz. I'm open to answer any of your questions, and let's get rocking. Thanks a lot.
That sounds good. So what I'll do is I'll post all the contact information and links below this video, and appreciate the information. We'll look forward to having you on again in the future.
Appreciate it, brother. Thanks a lot, man.
Got it.